A few seconds later, a window popped up, informing Lin that he had acquired the skill Summon Undead General. Holding a scythe, he was first surprised, and then he got confused. We all know this skill used to be attached to Lin's scythe, but now it seems to become one of his own skills. Had something special happened to cause this change? If so, what's the difference? We are about to find out. After he used the skill, a chilling wind swept through the small courtyard, growing stronger by the second. At the same time, the sky darkened, with ominous clouds blocking out the sun. Meng Anwen and White Divine were both surprised. They hadn't expected to see Lin's new skill affect the weather. Usually, only forbidden-level spells could accomplish this. Not long after, a giant figure crawled out beneath the earth. Standing a few meters away from Lin, an undead general appeared, holding a scepter and kneeling on one knee. Lin began reading the general's information. He quickly found a few changes about the general. It seemed to gain some extra traits. One of which stood out the most was allowing the undead general to form his own legion of skeletons. However, at a mere level 1, the general's stats were depressingly low, to say the least. Even after boosting with Lin's amplification talent, other than its vitality sitting at 200, all other stats were only double digits. However, something else caught his attention. There's something called Legion members underneath the stats, currently at 0 out of 10. What makes it even more crazy is that Lin can summon a total of 10 undead generals at the same time. We will get back to this. Besides the army formation skill we are familiar with, the general had gained 2 new abilities, the first being Legion Enhancement, which increased the attack power, attack speed, casting speed, and all other defensive attributes of Legion members by 10%. While the second skill is Legion Recovery, just as the name suggests, it's a healing ability. After listening to Lin, White Divine then asked him to summon a skeleton to test the effects. Moments later, a skeletal warrior appeared. White Divine flicked his finger and gently shot a beam towards it. Shortly after, the undead general raised its scepter high. Soon, a brilliant light shot out from the scepter, and the skeleton's body began to regenerate, slowly healing back its health. Meng Anwen commented that although the undead general's own attributes weren't high, its skill effects were similar to those of a Legion Overlord, a legendary profession known for commanding large armies. The one Lin had seen on the Yuan battlefield a while back. White Divine was happy to see the results. He stood up and told Lin he had gained a great skill. However, its only downside is its limited base attributes. However, Lin knew that once the undead general's level increased and upgraded to a higher tier, the attribute would then look much better. White Divine jokingly said how Lin is basically a real one-man army. This boosted his confidence in their upcoming plans, telling him to get ready and begin training in the new place very soon. Lin nodded, deciding to head to the Tyrant Desert to level up these skills first. White Divine laughed heartily, impressed that Lin's first thought wasn't to rest, but to max out his skill levels. Satisfied, he patted Lin on the shoulder and mentioned he'd ask Old Ning to give Lin a discount on resetting the dungeon cooldowns. Lin returned to the dungeon hall, preparing to use desert fruits to max out his skills. As he stepped into the sandy terrain again, he felt a sense of familiarity. He was lucky this time, finding a desert fruit on his first try, though it was guarded by numerous giant scorpions, but these posed no challenge for him anymore. Approaching the oasis, he first used bone spikes, causing several spikes to emerge from the ground. Despite their small range, they dealt considerable damage, instantly killing the scorpions. After collecting all the fruits, he quickly cleared the dungeon and returned to the hall. Suddenly, Harmony called out to him. She had been waiting for a long time. Before Lin could say anything, she handed him several bottles of fatigue elixirs. These elixirs could eliminate fatigue, helping him stay in top condition. She knew Lin had been grinding dungeons non-stop without rest, and wanted to return the favor after he had gifted her those precious flame crystals. Looking at the elixirs, Lin thought they would come in really handy for the next few days. After saying goodbye to Harmony, Lin stored the potions in his storage space and thanked her. He then got back to the grind and focused on continuously using his skills to level them up, while the unfortunate giant scorpion kept getting its ass whooped. One moment, they were pierced by bone spikes. The next, they were gangbanged by the undead generals. With the supply of desert fruits, Lin's spirit and mana were pretty much limitless, allowing him to spam the skills non-stop. After some while, using up all of the fatigue elixir, he then consumed the last desert fruit, thinking this would be the final round. By now, The undead general had reached level 30, progressing from iron tier to silver, and now to gold tier. The boosted attributes were impressive too. Strength, agility, and spirit were all at 4,000, while vitality was at 20,000. Most importantly, it now allowed the generals each to command a legion of 300 skeletons. Holy moly, after some quick math, that's a whole 3,000 skeletons. After upgrading to the gold tier, the general's skills also leveled up. The three skills, Legion Formation, Enhancement, and Recovery, had all reached level 3. Legion Enhancement now increased the skeleton's various attributes by 30%. Legion Formation could now dispel and cleanse all control skills below level 60. Now let's look at this bad boy. The undead general no longer wore tattered clothes but was clad in stylish black gold armor, looking quite handsome if you ask me. Similarly, Lin's skeleton warriors had also reached the gold tier, with all 4 attributes sitting comfortably at 15,000. Their Rampage Strike skill now dealt 400% of their strength as damage to the target. The skeletal mages had not been left behind either. Their long robes now had additional body armor. As for their stats, the spirit attributes had reached an astonishing 20,000, with other attributes at 4,000. Other skills like skeletal armor, bone spikes, slow curse, and soul flame had all reached level 30. But unfortunately, Corpse Explosion was still stuck at level 4. Checking his own stats, not much changes, with his title and stats remaining the same. However, having all his summoned creatures at the gold tier made him feel stronger than ever. Surprisingly, his scythe had also reached level 30. I don't think that is supposed to happen, because we all know that the scythe should only level up by absorbing abyssal souls, and Lin had only been grinding in the dungeon hall. Maybe it was because Lin was just too OP that he broke the 4th wall and changed it himself. Anyway, taking a deep breath, he knew it was time to head back to White Divine. Returning to White Divine's small courtyard, both of them sensed that Lin had grown significantly stronger. Clearly, he had been diligently leveling up his skills these past few days. Lin greeted them respectfully, then told his teacher that he was ready. With a solemn expression, White Divine tells Lin to listen carefully to what he is about to say. He then explained that the place Lin needed to go was called the Eternal Trial Grounds, a place fraught with danger, but also great opportunities. The trial grounds were divided into 3 layers: the upper layer, the lower layer, and the deep layer. Each layer was interconnected yet independent, coexisting without interference. He wanted Lin to go to the upper layer, as only professionals below level 70 could enter it. Similarly, those above level 70 are forbidden to enter. However, White Divine continued, there is a very small chance that spatial passages will appear between the upper and lower layers. This is caused by instability in the trial ground. When this happens, the rules are disrupted, and very rarely, someone from the lower layer might come up to the upper layer, but they can only stay for an hour before being detected. He tells Lin that this place is different from the Yuan battlefield. While legend has it that long ago, humans, abyssal demons, and dragons fought a devastating war. The Eternal Trial Grounds was a result of this war. The battle was unprecedentedly fierce, shattering space and time. Countless powerful beings from all 3 races were buried there. Their souls and wills eventually got lost in the area. Their power dissipated into the surroundings, forming monsters, perilous zones, secret realms, and dungeons. But alongside these dangers, they left behind their items and divine artifacts, which is why there are opportunities amidst the risks. While Lin would need to be careful of 2 other races, since they too are collecting and searching for these divine artifacts. Apart from these other races, he also warned him to watch for other humans that may stab him from the back. After a moment of silence, White Divine looked intently at Lin and asked if he understood the dangers involved. Without hesitation, Lin responded that he understood.